let's take a look at another option. One of the more popular ideas for adjustments is to buy a calendar, which is a current at the money calendar, and that's the way that we're talking about doing adjustments in the earlier part of the course, and talking about just raising the graph in case this does start to move up. Put a calendar right at where the price may tend to go, like at the 47 strike price. So let's go over here and let's do a calendar at the 47 strike price, and we'll go ahead and analyze that. And I think we're probably going to need more than one. And that does somewhat, helps lengthen the top of the curve here, because it's the green line that we're interested in. That's how the maximum amount of money that we can actually make. So this really does restrict the amount of money that we can actually make in this trade right up to expiration with adjustments of a calendar. I mean, we'd have to do extraordinary amounts of calendars in order to get back to any type of level that we previously had. I mean, previously we had this. Plus, we could always do. Let's do September. There we go. Let's see what that does. Now that's a little bit better, but we still have to do quite a few calendars, don't we? And look what happens immediately. I mean, once we put this calendar on, oops, I just got to do this. Okay, there we go. Once we put this calendar on, it does help us adjust, and that is one way of doing it. You can do calendars. I think they're a little bit better than buying the actual options itself. Let's do one other thing just in contrast. And it does add to your actual graph, but only at the center. If we do the 48, now what it does is it extends it out. So there's plenty of room here to do calendars. You can add calendars, but look at how many we have to do. We have to do 16 calendars in order to get to $3,300 in maximum profit. If we take that off again, let me just remind you that we had a $3,400 profit without the calendar. Yes, we can add the calendar and extend our break even to the upside, but look what happens to our profit. We lose money. We lose a couple $100 on our maximum profit. In addition, look at the transaction costs. The transaction cost for buying 16 calendars, okay, let's say we wanted to keep the exact same amount of money that we had in the previous trade. Our maximum profit was $34.40. If we add the calendar, we're at $33.51 right at the peak here. That's our maximum profit at that peak. Well, in order to get back up to $34.40, we'd have to add, over at this, and then we'd have to be at this particular peak. We'd have to add 27 calendars at a cost of $1.50 per calendar times. Now we've got 27 of the Octobers, we got 27 of the Septembers. So we've got 54 contracts. That's $81 in commissions just to put on that calendar. Okay? Well, this is what theta scalping is all about, is extending our break even, bringing us back to delta neutral. It did help our delta, didn't it? But it didn't put us back to delta neutral. You see that? Even though we added 27 calendars, it did help our delta, but it didn't bring us back to delta neutral, and it reduced our profit potential on the trade. Now this is the way we've been learning how to do it, is by adjusting using calendars. How many calendars would we have to do to get to delta neutral, or approximately delta neutral? We'd have to do 45 calendars to get to delta neutral. And that's one of the reasons why I told you guys to trade small. Because when you're doing one or two contracts, when you put a position on for the very first time, and you do one or two contracts, it's easy to adjust, because you can adjust by putting on 3 or 4 contracts. And you don't lose too much. You actually make a little bit more money when you add calendars. And you can adjust using calendars. And I just showed you that you can adjust using calendars, but we'd have to add 45 contracts to get to delta neutral. And that's a lot of contracts. And the reason we had to add 45 contracts to this position in order to get close to delta, and we didn't even get, I mean, yeah, we can get delta neutral, but it also, if you noticed, it restricted the amount of money that we could make on this position. So, but the reason we had to add 45 contracts is because I already have a lot of contracts on. I've got 5 of these, I got 10 of these, I got 5 of this, I got, I'm short 10 of those, I'm short 10 of those, I'm short 5 of those, I got 10 of those, and I got 5 of those. So I've got a lot of contracts here. I've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 contracts on already. So we needed 45 contracts just to get to delta neutral and to raise our tent so that we wouldn't get hurt if the price moved against us too much. There is another way, and what I do is I call this theta scalping. I don't know what other people call it. I'm not really sure what other people call it, but it is, I think, is the best form of adjustment if you're doing large numbers. In other words, I didn't add these vertical spreads onto this position at the very beginning. I added them a couple of different days, and we're still, let's see, we're September here. We're still 43 days from September expiration. So if you take a look at my positions, you can see I've got I'm short these two, the 44, 45 puts, and I'm long the 37, 38. So these are extremely wide. And this is not what I taught in the beginning of the module. I'm short the 46 calls, and I'm short the 48 calls, and then I'm long the 53, 54s. These are extremely wide, not like the ones that you learned in the beginning of the module, because these types of positions require that you have, number one, a little additional capital. Number two is that they are all iron condors, or they are vertical spreads for credits. If you want to stay in your position, the only way to stay in your position is to do theta scalping. Now, just like gamma scalping, we purchased a straddle. And then in order to adjust that straddle, we bought and sold the stock in order to remain delta neutral. The closer we get to expiration, the larger the gamma. For example, if we were to do this on the Qs here, and we wanted to buy the current straddle, let's take it over here, and I'm just going to hide my positions here for a second. Let's say we wanted to do a 10 straddle, 10 contract straddle. Well, we immediately start out with, we're short 106 deltas. In order to get delta neutral, we had to buy, we're going to have to buy 100 shares of the stock, right? That brings us right back into delta neutral, or approximately. It's close enough. It's 6.42.